Hello, everyone, and thank you for watching my recording today. My name is James Crow, and this presentation is about my project, Denver Crime Rate Forecast. Currently, there is a shortage of first responders. Analyzing the crime rates could help improve staffing estimates based on actual crime rates. Denver Police Chief Hazen reports that the department is understaffed by 170 officers, and that does not include the unfilled administrator positions. Analyzing past crimes can help establish future crimes per week to help with staffing needs and improve response times. The current police response times leave some room for improvement based on community members' perspectives. Analyzing previous crime data will help create estimates for the Denver area for any given week. This will improve the accuracy of the budget planning and staffing needs of the area. This could also help manage overtime and when reserve officers will need to be called in. This forecast will use a time series approach, and we will use data from July 28th, 2020 to February 7th, 2022. The time frame was selected to exclude the impact of the first COVID-19 shutdown due to a major decrease in crimes during that 3-month period. The Denver Open Data Catalog offers free access to crime data for the County of Denver from January 2nd, 2017 until February 14th, 2022. I will use data from the previous years to predict future weekly crime estimates. The first step in the process is data exploration. The graph above shows the daily crime rate in Denver from January 2nd, 2017 to February 14th, 2022. The graph clearly shows some seasonality with higher crime rates during the summer and lower crime rates in the winter months, which if you live in the north or where it gets cold, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of people don't like going out during the winter months, so less crime would make sense. And you can notice a very small downward trend in the red line through the graph. The daily crime rate seems to be too many data points. Using a weekly crime rate seems easier to graph and decipher, in my opinion. So the graph on the left shows the weekly crime rates from January 2nd, 2017 to February 14th, 2022. And you can see seasonality and a downward trend. But then on the graph on the right shows the weekly crime rate from July 28th, 2020 to February 14th, 2022. You can still see some of the seasonality, and now you see an upward trend. Due to the upward trend compared to the downward trend from the one on the left, I decided to exclude the time frame before July 28th, 2022. As you can see on the one on the graph on the left, the time frame, the first 3 months of the COVID shutdown, there's a major decrease in crime rate. And I would consider those outliers for the time frame. And that is why, in my opinion, on the left-hand side graph, you see a downward trend and not an upward trend. Next up, data transformation. So the data that I got from the Denver catalog shows individual crimes. Gives all the incident reports, time, place, what the crime is, and everything. But to use it to predict future crime rates, first step is I had to take the individual crime rates and do a sum of how many crimes are committed each day. I did this in Excel, and then I brought the data set into R, and from there, I made it where it was weekly crime rates, because that's what I decided would be the best to predict, and then removed the data before July 28th, 2020. And then had to split them into a training set and a test set. The training set is July 28th, 2020 through October 4th, 2021. And the test set is October 11th, 2021 through February 2nd, 2022. Obviously, you need a test set to make sure that when you're training the set to predict that you're not overtraining or overfitting, and that is what the test set is used for. A time series approach has been chosen, and 6 forecast models will be reduced to help produce the best model possible. The RMSE and the maze will be used to evaluate the forecast method. The smaller RMSE, the better the model is at predicting, and a maze below 1 means that the model is predicting than the naive model, and a maze above 1 means the model is worse at predicting than the naive model. So the first model you have to make is obviously the naive model. And the naive model just takes the last observation and uses it to predict the next observation. The blue line in the middle graph shows the naive model predictions and is a straight line, since all you're doing is using the last observation to make all future predictions. The orange line in the graph shows the actual test sets, and the dark cone around the blue line shows the 80% confidence level, and the lighter cone shows the 95% confidence level. With the confidence levels, you hope them to be closer to the prediction line, showing that your prediction is better. This is a very wide range and is a naive model. The MSE is 158, and there is no maze because the maze is a comparison of how the model performs against the naive model. The second model is a seasonal naive model, and this takes the last observation at the same time from the previous year and uses it to predict the next observation. So if you're trying to predict January 1st of 2022, you would use January 1st of 2021 as your guess. And since there is seasonality in the data, the seasonal naive model does better than the naive. The RMSE is 99, which is 58 lower than the naive model, and the maze is 0.75. And when you look at the middle graph, you can see that the confidence levels more closely follow the prediction line. The next 3 models are all linear regression models with seasonalities and different forms of trend. The first one is with linear trend. The model does not perform as well as the seasonal naive model, with a RMSE of 120 and a maze of 0.9. And then after tuning the first model and making the next linear regression model to have seasonality and a quadratic trend, this model does perform better than the seasonal naive model, with a RMSE of 74, which is 25 lower than the seasonal naive model, and a maze of 0.56. The last linear regression model has seasonality and a cubic trend. This model seems to have been overfitted to the training set, and is actually worse than the naive model or the seasonal naive model. The RMSE is 168 and the maze is 1.25. And the last model is a Halt-Winters exponential smoothing method. This model does better than the cubic or naive model, but worse than the seasonal naive model are the linear regression with seasonality and quadratic trend. The RMSE is 128 and the maze is 0.85. Another concern about the Halt-Winters is it's a more complex model, and when a simpler model, which 2 simpler models are out there that do perform better, you're better to take the simpler model. So the best model is a linear regression and seasonality and quadratic trend. This model has a RMSE of 74 and a maze of 0.56. This is a pretty big step and a better fit than the seasonal naive model, which is why you would choose this one over the seasonal naive model. Now, if it was very similar to the seasonal naive model, you might choose to use the seasonal naive model because it's a simpler modeler, and then it's easier to explain moving forward. So to conclude, the linear regression model with seasonality and quadratic trend is the best fit model. The forecast model could help the Denver Police Department with recruitment and budget plans. The model could help determine when extra officers are needed and when overtime can be limited. Being able to predict the number of crimes a week can help with response times. If you have any suggestions or questions, please post them in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you. Have a good day.